What's up guys, it's Brent from YuGiBOOM, and today I've got another awesome deck profile for you. It's Elementsaber's YuGiBOOM! When Elementsabers first came out, I fell in love with the cards. The artwork was so cool, and I loved the synergy they had with the Elemental Lord cards. When I built this deck, I wanted to make sure that I could utilize as much as I can from the Elemental Lords, as much as I can from the Warrior types, and finally really powering up with the Elemental Lord cards and some powerful Link monsters. Let's dive right in. Alright, for the Elemental Lord cards, we run one Pyrorex and one Molenglacia. Now, we run the Molenglacia to rip cards out of your opponent's hands, and we run the Pyrorex for destroying one of your opponent's monsters and then dealing some damage to both of you guys. Overall, Molenglacia is definitely the best Elemental Lord card I think there is, especially if you're going turn 1. Pyrorex is probably better going turn 2. This is where the side deck kind of comes in. If you're going turn 1, have 2 of these. If you're going turn 2, 1 or probably 2 of these. This is probably your best bet. Your opponent would have to have a really busted hand to still have enough cards in here to actually make Molenglacia worth it on your first turn if you're going second. But overall, you want to run one of each of these. Now, to get these guys out, you need 5 of the same element in the graveyard. So if you've got 5 Elementsabers that are all water, you can get Molenglacia. If you've got 5 Elementsabers that are all Pyrorex, you can get, that all fire, you can get Pyrorex. And that's how you get them out. Now, you might be thinking that's a lot of elements to have in the graveyard, but Elementsabers allow them to swap their elements in the grave. Pretty cool. It is once per turn, so you'd have to have 10 on the board to get both of these out, but it isn't a hard once per turn, so there is some synergy there that's kind of cool. But overall, you definitely want to have at least Molenglacia in the great deck, and then Pyrorex is kind of up to you, but either bump the Molenglacia up to 2 or 1 and 1. Alright, next we run 1, 2, 3 Hyenas. Hyena is probably my favorite Elementsaber monster. She basically allows you to send one from your hand to the grave, to special summon one from the grave. She can also special summon an Elemental Lord from the grave, which is pretty cool, if it was already properly summoned. So that's kind of nice. You can get them back if you need to just have a really good beater on the field. But Hyena is really, really powerful just because she allows you to kind of send one and then get one back, and then you can probably use that one's effects because they're not negated if you need to. So I definitely recommend 3 Hyenas. She's super strong, super powerful, and you'll see later that her being a level 2 is actually pretty important, especially for cards like Isolde, because we do run equip cards in this deck as well. So definitely want 3 Hyenas. Up next we got 1, 2 Makani. Makani is pretty cool. She basically allows you to send one to add to your hand. She also allows you to add Elemental Lords to your hand, which is pretty strong. She's also level 2, so keep that in mind later when I talk about Isolde. But overall, she's good. You can bump her up to 3 if you want, but I recommend 2. I definitely recommend 3 Hyenas, or maybe 2, but these are probably your kind of combo starters. You want to get these guys in to start getting cards on the field, cards from the deck on your hand or on the field. But definitely 3 Hyenas and 2 Makani. Next we run 1 Nalu and 1 Malo, I'm sorry. This guy and then this girl. Yep, if you see them out here. So Nalu is pretty good. She basically allows you to add one from your graveyard back to your hand. You don't use that much. She's usually discard fodder. You just want to get her in the grave. And then Malo is kind of good because he basically allows you to send one from your hand to the grave and then send one from the deck to the grave. So kind of good to get him out because him along with him along with his cost and then using another one is pretty strong because that allows you to get 3 Elementsabers just from 1 card. But unfortunately, he does, because of how much link spam we do in this deck, he's more just a one-of just to have an extra Elementsaber target in the grave. One other side note about Elementsabers that's super important to note, you'll notice that these cards this is not cost, this is cost, and Hyena is not cost. So why that's important is because Hyena actually needs to have a valid target in the grave to work because it's not cost. So that's one thing that kind of stinks is you can't, if you send one from your hand to the grave, you can't special summon that. You already have to have a target in the grave. If it was written as cost, that would be broken, but it's not. Malo is written as cost, and unfortunately Nalu isn't. So it's kind of weird. You have to learn the cards very crucial like that. But overall, they're still really fun to play, and don't worry about the cost thing. Just learn the cards. It's the biggest recommendation. All right, so these guys right here, we run 1 La Pula. La Pula is good. She allows you to negate the effect of a spell trap card by sending one from your hand to the deck from, say, Elementsaber. She's kind of good as a bonus. You make your big board and then just have her as an extra negate on the field. She's also coupled with Naleho. He's the same thing but a Book of Moon. So kind of good negates here. You can swap one of these out for another one if you want here. You can also make some changes if you need to some of the other cards, but overall, I think 2 of these and 1 of these is pretty strong. Maybe 2 of these, 1 of these if you know you have a really spell-heavy deck, a spell or trap-heavy deck you're going against, but I think these guys are fine. Next up for one of the Elementsaber, actually the Elementsaber boss monster, and the last one we run for the Elementsabers, La Pula Mana. This card's pretty darn cool. Basically what it allows you to do is if you send 2 Elementsabers from your hand to the grave to special summon him, so you don't actually have to tribute to get him out. You can if you want, but he doesn't get his effects. And then he gains effects depending on which ones you sent to the grave. So if it's a earth or wind, he can't be destroyed by battle. If it is a water or fire, he can't be destroyed by effects. And light or dark, he cannot be targeted with card effects. Most likely I'm doing the first 2 just to have him on the board no matter what, unless you're like up against Dark Magical Circle where he can get banished or something like that. But overall, he is a good card to have. You can bump him up to 3 if you want. The main reason why I use this card, and a lot of people don't realize this, is once you're doing a big link spam deck like this, you need to get more in the grave. It's good that you've got your deck, your spam, you got like a Saryuja on the field, but you can't really do much more than that unless you have this guy, because he allows you to send from your hand to the grave, getting more Elementsaber cards in the graveyard to eventually get the Elemental Lord card out. So he is awesome, super strong. I had him at 1, but now I recommend him at 2. And also, he's just really cool and fun to play, being the kind of boss monster of this deck. He's actually, I'll move the mat a little bit over so you can see him. He's on the mat right there, looking really cool. I say he, but I think he is La Pula upgraded, because you can see her little yellow in her hair. So it might be a girl, I'm not sure. I think La Pula actually probably is a girl. So yes, it most likely is a girl, but I'm going to say he during this deck profile. Excuse me. So 2 of those, and that ends it for the Elementsaber cards. You can bump up more if you want. You're going to need a lot of fodder in this deck just to keep getting him in the grave. But overall, that's a pretty good combo, a pretty good ratio that I recommend on these guys. Next up, kind of the warrior engine that I run. So we've got 3 Marauding Captains. You know, get him out on the field, special summon another one, you're good. We run 1 Goblinderberg. I only run 1 of these, and I'll explain why once I show you a card I'm going to show up in a second. He allows with this card to miss timing, but overall he's still really good to extend your play. Also, you know, there are 4s in this deck, so you can get a rank 4 if you need to. We run 2 Photon Thrashers. I actually had this at 3, but I took it out for the extra mana. If you really want to increase the link span, that's good, but I needed to add in more Elementsaber, so I took 1 of the Photon Thrashers out. And then finally, for this little warrior engine that I run, my favorite piece of this card deck. Let me get these guys here. 1, 2, 3 Hero Kids. When I first found out about this card, I knew there was a cool way to use this card, and it finally took Isolde and the Bamboo Sword engine to really get this card on full power. Hero Kid basically says when this card is special summoned, you can special summon any number of Hero Kids from your deck. Special summon him, and you get 2 more. Bam. So if you've got Marauding Captain in hand and 1 of these in hand, hopefully 1, normal, special, and you'll get these 2 from the deck, and you already have 4 monsters. You can go into Borreload right there. So that is pretty cool, but we mainly use it for Isolde. So hopefully you get Marauding Captain, Elementsaber, use those 2 for Isolde, and then I'll show you later the combo for how to use Hero Kid. Pretty darn cool. Alright, so that's actually all the monsters we run. Pretty good. You got the little bit of Warrior engine, Elementsaber engine, not bad. For spells, we run 1, 2, 3 Palace of the Elemental Lords. I love this card. This is what makes the deck so broken. It's not once per turn. If you get another one, you can lose both the effects. This card says you can add 1 Elementsaber from your deck to your hand. The problem with that, though, is once you do that, you can't use your next battle phase. So if you're going turn 1, it does kind of stink. You can Molanglacia them. You have a really negated board, but you can't actually OTK them the next turn because darn Palace of the Elemental Lords. And then his last effect is that once per turn, if you have an Elementsaber monster that needs to send an Elementsaber from hand to grave to activate its effect, you can send it from the deck. So why that's so important is because if you have La Pula Mana right here, let me get that focus going, La Pula Mana going, special summon him, you could send 2 from the deck, that's almost half of a Molanglacia right there. And that was from your deck, so that was 1 card just getting 2 from the deck. Super powerful. Ideally, you would use that for that just to get the other 2, and you have a nice Elementsaber hands in your hands to have some good synergy. But overall, this card is extremely powerful, and that's why we also run 2 Terraforming. Super strong to get these guys out. I don't run any traps. I wouldn't run that Metaverse thing just because it doesn't really help you to activate it on your turn. But overall, good. I love it. And also, it does have synergy with some of the cards that negate, because you can actually send 1 from your deck to the grave during your opponent's turn to actually negate. So if you don't have an Elementsaber in hand, but you have one of the negates on the field, or like 3 negates, you can use one of those from the grave to the deck. I said 3. Ideally, you'd have the other 2 Elementsabers in your hand to activate, but you guys get what I mean. So these are the field spells. Then I mentioned this earlier, we do run the Bamboo Sword engine, so 3 cursed, 3 golden, 3 broken. I love bamboo. I had to take these out of my Despot deck because Cursed Bamboo Sword is so expensive now. But I took these guys out of my bamboo bots for this. If you haven't checked that deck profile, check that one out. It's super fun. But actually, I like this one a lot more just because it is Isolde. So Isolde allows you to pitch 2. You pitch a Curse, you pitch a Broken. And then Curse allows you to get 1 Bamboo Sword card of these 2. So ideally, you get whatever one you don't have in your hand. So ideally, you have 1 of these. And then no matter what, you're going to get 1 of these through your combo. And then finally, you can draw 2 cards from Golden. So overall, pretty good little synergy here with Isolde, and I'll show you that combo at the end of this video. Finally, for the one-ofs, 1 Regeki, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Foolish Burial for all of those darn Elementsabers. Just get them in the grave, especially for Aina. You need to have that target in the grave, so get Foolish Burial out to use it. And then Rhoda, Reinforcements of the Army. Super powerful in this deck. I wish I could bump up to 2, that'd be awesome, but I doubt I would. But that's actually it for the main. We don't run any traps. There is the Elemental Training trap you can run in this, and I did for a while, but this deck really relies on first turn stun, and having that trap in here, it's just kind of slow. You could add it in and swap out some of this link spam stuff that I'm doing to make it a little more pure Elementsabers, but overall, I think this is good. I think this is fun for the deck, and I think this deck makes the deck pretty competitive. So that's it for the main. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck, we run 1 Borreload as rank level 4, 1 Saryuja as Link 4, and then 1 Nightmare Griffin as Link 4. Borreload, awesome offense. I got that first edition Circuit Break right there. What? With Saryuja, Mega Pack. But Saryuja, pretty good defense, and also Saryuja's good for that first turn combo just to keep getting some of those guys on the field, especially that you can special summon from your hand and that effects aren't negated like Summon Sorceress. Makes it pretty powerful. And then Nightmare Griffin is good because I like to use Nightmare Griffin, stalls your opponent a little bit, just a little bit, and then also allows you to get one of those Bamboo Sword cards back out, just in case you couldn't make the full combo. We also run more Nightmares in here. We don't run the whole U-Link thing because it just can't do that. The deck isn't that spammy, but overall, pretty good to have these 3. For Link 4s, we run 1 Link 3, and that's Decode. That is strictly just to get them off. You need Elementsabers in the grave, you got 3 on the field, get them off with Decode. Makes it easy, especially if for some reason turn 1 you already use a bunch of these guys, you can't get to 4, you got Decode Talker. It stinks that Decode Talker just kind of got crappy over time. He was so good when he first came out because he was the only Link, but now he's just meh. Alright, so we run 2 Isolde. This is the combo piece here. So Isolde, obviously, as you guys know, so hot right now. Send 2 equip spells, or how many equip spells you want, to special summon from the grave. I use this for the Hero Kid. So special summon, or sorry, use Isolde, pitch the Cursed, pitch the Broken, then use it to special summon Hero Kid. And then as we know, Hero Kid comes out and he brings his 2 buddies, 1, 2. So right there, you have a Link 2 plus 3 Hero Kids right here you can use. Plus if you use anything still on the board. So right there you can go into a Link 5 if you had anything. I don't think those exist. But allows you to kind of keep ranking up. And I use this plus usually a Hero Kid to get Summon Sorceress, which is pointing to another Hero Kid, which is a Warrior, to special summon another from the deck. So just keep them recurring, keeps them fun. But overall, it's just a fun. Isolde is really fun in this deck. I really like Isolde, and I wasn't playing the Goki thing. I wasn't playing anything that used Isolde before, so I'm really stoked I got a user. And the special edition made her cheap as heck, so I love that. So Isolde, we also run 1 Summon Sorceress. Again, cheap from the special edition. Summon Sorceress is good just because it allows you to keep recurring. Everything's a warrior, so it doesn't really change too much because they're all the same type. But love Summon Sorceress. It just allows you to keep cutting up. Actually, Summon Sorceress is nice because alone with Summon Sorceress and a Hero Kid, you can automatically go into a Nightmare Griffin and do that little stall I was telling you about, but ideally you'd go a little bit bigger. So that's it for the Link 3s. Then for the Link 2s, we run 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 2 Cerebrus. You can bump up Phoenix to 2 if you want. I like 2 Cerebrus just because I think it's more often than not that I'm up against effect monsters versus spell and traps, but Phoenix is there as well. Just good cards to have in your toolkit, plus it's the fact that you can discard a card, so hopefully you can discard an Elementsaber too. So these cards are, as I'm playing it more and more, I thought they were more for spot removal, but they're actually more and more have synergy if I can't do the big combo. So bump these up if you want, but overall I like these 3. Also, if you want, you can throw in the whole Nightmare Engine, you can throw in the Mermaid, you can throw in Ibli, and kind of make that whole thing happen. I just like this being a little more a little more about my card having advantage versus worrying about all these links. I like the Elementsabers to just keep doing their thing. So that's it for the link. Oh, sorry, and we run an Underclock Taker. Mainly just to get cards off the field. I don't use this effect that much, but if I don't have these guys for some reason, I need Underclock Taker, and I need to get a down pointing arrow if I keep going. He's there, so I like Underclock Taker. So that is all the link monsters. And then finally we run, for XYZs, we run 1 Castell, 1 Cowboy, 1 Djinn Buster, and 1 Terabyte. Actually put these here for the 3 too. You all know Castell, you all know Cowboy, but Terabyte's pretty cool. He's 3 level 3 monsters, so he's a little trickier to do, but you can do this in this deck. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card to target 1 level 4 or lower face-up attack position monster your opponent controls and gain control of it. So he basically becomes a Mysticilio girl. We like Terabyte, I like him. He's easy to do because of Marauding Captain too, and not bad. Very particular if you want to swap this out for whatever the heck you want, but I just kind of put him in recently. I think he's pretty cool. And then Djinn Buster. During either player's turn, when an effect or an opponent's monster is activated, you can, when an effect of an opponent's monster is activated, you can detach 2 XYZ materials from this card and negate the activation if you do and inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So because you do that Hero Kid thing, you can also do this if you want, just because you know what your opponent's going to do next turn. But overall, that ends it for the XYZ monsters, and actually ends it for the whole deck. Let's go into this awesome combo I've been talking about. Alright guys, for this first turn combo to work, you're going to have Marauding Captain, and then any other warrior monster just to get that on the field for Isolde. Now, for this purpose, we're going to say it's Elementsaber Aina. She's my favorite, and the reason why I say that is because if you already have something in the graveyard, you can use her effect to special summon that card, so you can get even more monsters out for link material. Plus, Aina, Elementsaber cards, if you special summon it, chances are it's going to have some sort of effect. If you can get that off, like Makani, to send to get, or whatever you have, and if you have Elementsaber cards in your hand, they're going to act as more discard fodder, so really powerful. But you're going to need these two to kind of start off the combo. So normal summon Marauding, activate effect to special summon Elementsaber Aina. Use her effect if you can. For now, we're going to say she's dead. So you've got these two. We're going to link these two away for Isolde. Effect of Isolde to add to hand. We're going to add the Marauding Captain just to set up your next turn. You don't want to add any of the Elementsaber cards because you want to be able to change their attribute in grave, and you cannot do that if you add it to the hand for that particular Elementsaber, because obviously you can't activate its effects, and even in the grave. So we're going to add Marauding Captain just to set you up for next turn, or any of the warrior monsters, whatever you add if you want to. Then we're going to activate its effect to send 2 from the grave, or from the deck to the grave. So we're going to send 2 equipped spells, the Cursed and the Broken. And we're going to use that to special summon a Hero Kid. Now, a couple things will go on. Hero Kid will go off, special summon 2 more Hero Kids, and then Cursed Bamboo Sword will go off to add from hand. Remember, Curse is an if, while Hero Code is a when, so you should be good on timing if you do this right. So then, of course, from there, you can either add Golden Bamboo Sword or Broken Bamboo Sword. Like I said, I recommend getting Golden just because Broken, sometimes Curse can act as Broken, and Golden you only have 3 targets. So I recommend getting Golden out if you can. So add that to your hand and wait for next turn to use that. Or if you already have one of the other pieces, or if you have the other piece, use that to draw 2, the other sword or whatnot. So right now you've got these 3 and an Isolde, and you've added in Marauding Captain to your hand. So now what we can do is we can actually go 1 Hero Kid, 1 Isolde. Now keep these 2 here, and it's important, I'll explain why. For Summon Sorceress. So of course you've got the target for Summon Sorceress here for Hero Kid, so use that's effect to special summon. Now for that, I'm going to special summon a Makani. You can use really any Elementsabers cards you have in your graveyard, from your graveyard to the, from your deck to the field. But Makani's effect is really powerful, so that just kind of lets you keep going. It's negated right now, but if you get it to the graveyard, you can get her back potentially with another copy of Aina, so there's a chance there. So this is where the combo, it's kind of up to you. This is kind of where you get to choose your own scare. I left the Hero Kid here just in case you want to go to Nightmare Griffin. Nightmare Griffin, of course, will need the card to point down to link, so opponents cannot special summon, it'll need a card to point down to, so that way you can kind of use, get one of these cards back, specifically Broken or Cursed, to use the next turn if you didn't use the Bamboo Sword combo already. You can go into Borreload right off the bat if you want. You can go into Saryuja if you want. You won't get as many effects as you'd like to off of Saryuja, but there is that option. Or if you had a Photon Thrasher early in the game, you can have him out and you have more. Or if you have anything else we mentioned earlier to kind of keep extending your effect, you're going to have more plays. But this is kind of the heart and soul of the combo, because from here you can do whatever the heck you want, which is pretty darn cool. Now remember, the goal of this combo and the goal of the whole deck is to get Molenglacia out. Now for Molenglacia, so far we've only gotten 1 Elementsaber card in the deck. We need 5. So from here, you'll have Makani. Makani will be able to go to the grave, which is nice. But you'll have other cards in your hand. So ideally, if you had La Pulia Mana, And you had Terraforming your Palace of the Elemental Lords. You can special Lapula mana by sending the 2 from the graveyard to the deck to get him out. That's 3 in the graveyard as well as ready. If you are able to use that extra 1 and go into Saryuja to get that special summon, you can special summon 1 from your hand to the field to get another Elementsaber card monster. So this is really, I call it choose your own scare at this point, because it's really up to you however you want to do the combo. But ultimately, what you want to end up doing is having a Mulling Glacier on the field, and then one of these powerful Link monsters. Griffin's alright. You have to have Griffin pointing down to actually work, so it's a little more trickier. But usually it's going to be Saryuja or Borload, a Mulling Glacier, and then a Lapula mana. If you can end with these guys, you've got it pretty much made. So I can... This is kind of the basics of the combo. If you guys leave a comment down in the description if you want me to kind of type up some options of some particular hands you can draw. But your main combo starters are Isolde and, of course, Summon Sorceress. So that's the combo, guys. Thank you so much for checking out YuGiBOOM and checking out this deck profile. Please leave a like. Please turn on the notifications. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We are rapidly growing. We're so excited. So please keep checking out our content. Leave a comment down below if you have any changes to the deck, or if you want to add anything else, or if you're like, hey, Hero Kid's a super old card. I'm super stoked to use that because I am too. I love this card. And after all that whole elemental hero thing, he's not technically an elemental hero card. So he kind of lives in his own world in here. Plus, I like his artwork. He's kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of some weird, like, kid Metabot kind of thing. I don't know. But overall, it's a really fun deck. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Like, subscribe, YuGiBOOM!